I feel like if we understand what's going on in the breast tissue, how your body makes it, and how it continues to make it, really helps them make sense.
But thank you so much for agreeing to come on today. I'm really excited. You're, believe it or not, the first lactation consultant I'm interviewing for the show. So I'm really excited to have you here. And starting off, like, if you just want to tell us a little bit about you.
I'm a mom of 4, and I had issues breastfeeding all of my kids. And so after number 3, I really felt like this is so much harder than what people say that it is. And why is it that way? My husband does mission work in third world countries, and it's kind of like these moms that have no medical interventions breastfeed their babies without any interventions, and they do fine. That's their sole nutrition for these children. Why do we make it so complicated? I'm a nurse. I have a background in nursing for 15 years, always done women's health, mother, baby, postpartum, nursery nurse, and did lactation. As a mom with my first one, I kind of went through a lot of those lactation issues that if I had just been educated, if I had known what I was actually going through, then I felt like, oh, well, maybe my experiences would have been a little bit different. So I just got in with the lactation department at the hospital, started doing training. I got my certification. Through that whole process, really kind of developed an understanding for the bigger picture. And even when I teach classes, I keep it very basic, but I feel like if we understand what's going on in the breast tissue, how your body makes it, and how it continues to make it, really helps them make sense. I used to tell my story to my patients because they all were 4 different experiences. The first one had colic, oversupply, had the horrible cracked bleeding nipples. The second one was a baby who wouldn't latch that I pumped and bottle fed. Third one, I dealt with like hardly any milk because of a stressful situation. And then the fourth one had oral issues, which hindered my milk production. I feel like, my journey really hits on a lot of the topics that moms usually have questions about on a day-to-day basis. What I do now is I've stepped away from bedside nursing. I am the birth coordinator and lactation consultant at a small community hospital in Florida. I see all my breastfeeding moms every day until they go home. And then I call and check on them the following week to see how they're doing. Has their milk come in? Have they been seen at the pediatrician's office? How are things going? And then I run all of our classes here at the hospital. So all of our maternity classes, none of our classes get charged. And then I still have my own private practice. So outside of the hospital, if I have patients that want to do a home visit or just need some one-on-one education, but they don't feel like that they can leave their house to do it, or they want it in the comfort of their environment where they're at every day, then I go to them.
So what do you think are the most common issues people have with latching?
So I think right from the beginning initially is a breast assessment. When I go in as a lactation consultant, I kind of look and see what type of breast makeup does mom have, areola, nipple, just in general the breast. If the baby's only given one thing to work with, they tend to figure it out. But again, if we immediately put a pacifier in the baby's mouth or give a baby a bottle, then they get used to a nipple that's much longer, and then they have issues coming back to the breast and figuring out. If I have a mom who's got a flat or inverted nipple, which basically means there's not a lot of tissue for the baby to latch onto, and then I give them something that's nice and elongated, like a nipple from a bottle or a pacifier, well, I'm going to get used to sucking on something that's way easier, that's much longer. So I think, again, not giving them enough time to figure it out. Here at the hospital that I work at, I really try to stress with my nurses, let's give the baby 24 hours. All babies are sleepy the first 24 hours and not good eaters. This is their kind of period to adjust to life. They're learning how to function on their own without being attached to mom. Their organs are functioning. We got a lot of stimulation. There's lights, there's noise. They have to breathe and pee and poop and regulate their body temperature. It's a lot. Feeding is really the last thing that we really have to stress about, unless there's some type of medical issue like a low blood sugar. Let's give them 24 hours. Let's do skin to skin. Let's try to put the baby down to the breast every couple of hours and see what the baby can naturally do. I had a patient last week that the nurses really wanted to do a lot of interventions from the beginning. And I was like, the baby's got a great blood sugar, not showing any signs of distress. Let's just give the baby some time. And every feeding I went back in, and from the 9 o'clock feeding until I left at that 6 o'clock feeding, the baby made such a huge progression. The first feeding, the baby was just kind of smacking its lips and opening its eyes, maybe licking a little bit. The next feeding actually tried to latch on. We did some finger feeding. By the end of the shift, the baby actually latched on and fed. So I think if we allow them to kind of go through that process, then they kind of learn. But if we're doing a lot of interventions, then they have a lot of issues coming back. One of the things that I can suggest to moms is definitely taking a breastfeeding class or watch some YouTubes on getting a good latch. One of the key things is making sure that you're getting a good latch. And a lot of moms want to bring the baby directly onto the breast tissue. And it's actually more of an asymmetrical latch. So when we kind of drink from a bottle of water, we actually tilt our head back when we drink. We put a baby to the breast, we kind of want to do the same thing. We don't want to squish the baby's head and go directly onto the breast tissue, because then that would be like us trying to drink from a bottle directly with our head straight versus our head tilted back. So what'll happen is usually the nipple will run against the gum line of the baby, and they'll feel a lot of pinching and biting. Whereas if they have that head tilted back when they actually go to latch on, the palate of the mouth will protect the nipple, and then usually the baby will get a good latch. First and foremost, give the baby some time. Unless the baby's got a low blood sugar, wait for about 24 hours, really just try to do skin to skin, keep helping, make sure that the nurses offer some assistance. Then if the baby's still not feeding well at that 24 hours, usually what I'll do is try to get the mom to possibly pump. Okay, is it a baby issue to where the baby's just sleepy and not wanting to feed? Does the baby have some type of oral issue to where they're having difficulty sucking? So I'll do like a oral assessment, check their tongue, check everything, and make sure they physically can suck, and then look at mom's breast, her nipples. Are we able to express colostrum? If it's a baby issue, then usually I'll have mom either manually express or be pumping. So that way we can finger feed, cup feed colostrum to the baby. So now the baby can start getting nutrition. If it's a mom issue, then, okay, what's going on with mom? Some moms, depending upon skin type, their skin is very taut and very hard, kind of like what an orange peel would be like. So it's very hard if I have something really hard like that to try to get a baby to latch onto and grip to that breast tissue. So then, okay, well, what do we need to do to make it easier for baby? Do we need to have mom pump to try to help pull out the nipple? Say if she's got a flat or inverted nipple, do we need to introduce a nipple shield? As a lactation consultant, we don't like to use nipple shields. Most of us don't, because anytime you put a barrier between the breast and the baby, you always run the risk of the baby not being able to transfer the milk properly. And is the baby actually stimulating the breast where they need to in order to tell that body it needs to make that milk? But ultimately, I'd rather a baby eat from with a nipple shield if it can transfer that milk than not be breastfeeding at all. Okay, so then at that point is when we kind of make those decisions. Do we have mom start pumping? Do we have mom use a nipple shield? What kind is going on? So each situation is very different. That's probably one of the biggest things with breastfeedings that a lot of moms don't understand. It's not black and white. There's this huge gray area. So that's why you get a lot of conflicting information, is because what might work for the lady next door might not work for you, because every situation is different. Those babies that really, really struggle with breastfeeding, for some reason, around a 4 to 6 week mark, there's usually like this epiphany, this light that comes on, and they're like, oh, well, that was what I was supposed to do. So I usually will tell moms, worst case scenario, pump and bottle feed. It's much easier to get a baby back to the breast than it is to regain a milk supply. In the 10 years that I've been a lactation consultant, not one time have I ever had a baby not go back to the breast. 100% success rate. That's the easy part. The hard part is not getting that milk to come in and not establishing a good supply. Moms will think the babies aren't feeding well. So they just don't feed and they don't do any type of stimulation. And then long term, they don't have a good milk supply. They really don't understand that how feedings go those first couple of days really determines how their milk supply is going to be long term. So if I have a mom that really struggled in the hospital those first 1 to 3 days, I can guarantee you we're going to struggle with milk production. Milk doesn't come in. I mean, usually days 1 through 3, you have colostrum. And the reason that you don't have milk right away is because 1, your body needs to go through that process, but 2, the baby's body needs to go through that process. The baby doesn't need large quantities. Their tummy is about the size of a gumball the first couple of days. So they don't need ounces of formula. They only need a small quantity to coat that tummy and give them enough nutrients to help maintain that blood sugar and for their organs and things to function. That colostrum helps protect their intestinal lining because their intestinal lining is not completely closed off yet. So it provides this nice sticky gooiness to get in there and help prevent bacteria from growing in their intestines. And then their tummy starts to get bigger. Well, as their tummy starts to get bigger, then I have transitional milk. I have milk that is still that colostrum, but the mature milk coming in because now they can tolerate a larger quantity and their nutritional needs are starting to change. And then by day 5 is usually when we tell moms your milk should be in. Now, again, if I have a mom who had a very easy labor, delivered the baby without any difficulties, maybe breastfed before, her milk's going to come in usually probably quicker than a mom that this is her first baby. She ended up laboring for a long time. She had a C-section. She's going to be more that day 5 mom because your body's always going to take care of you first. So if you're struggling health-wise, your body's going to take care of you before it does all that extra as far as producing milk.
I always end these interviews with, I kind of like to call them fun thinking questions, just kind of gives perspective of everyone. So if you could have a billboard made today where you could share one tip with moms everywhere, what would you have it say?
I think we as women, we're so vulnerable when it comes to life. I feel like there's all this pressure on us that we've got to be perfect. The whole scenario. We got to have the perfect labor, the perfect baby, the perfect experience. And it's not going to go as planned. No matter how much you try to set it up, have a birth plan, have all the things in order, it's probably not going to go that way. It would probably be something under the lines of somehow supporting women because I think that I don't think that men really understand everything that we go through as far as hormonal pregnancy, having a baby, all of this pressure on us to be perfect, to breastfeed, have this perfect scenario.
Right. It's so true what you're saying. It's like, you know what? Everyone has their own journey and, you know, you don't have to be perfect.
It's okay to cry. It's okay if my breasts hurt. It's okay if my vagina's sore today. I can't sit on my butt because I have hemorrhoids. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten all day. I haven't showered in 2 days. I got some greasy hair. I got thrown up on today. The crazy adventure girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. Where can everyone find you or get in contact with you?
Yeah, so I'm not on social media. Well, I am personally, but not as a business. If you just search my name, I'm registered with IBLC, which is the International Board Lactation Consultant, examiners. So if you just Google Kristen Sorondo, lactation consultant, it'll come up. It'll be my personal number because that's what I use for my business. But you can also, I work at Oviedo Medical Center in Oviedo, Florida. So that's where I run the program that I run here in Oviedo. So you can always look me up through there as well.
Thank you for everything you do. And I think it's so cool that you just are opening up your time.
I love what I do. Wouldn't change it for the world.
I just want to thank you, Kristen, again for being here today. And thanks for watching. And be sure to follow our Facebook group, Mommy Knows Best, Judgment Free Mom Tribe. And we have a great community of moms there.